went to college in upstate New York, outside of Cooperstown. So there was a little bit of beer inspiration from some of the local breweries around there, like Onegay and whatnot. And then out of college, I got a job with Harpoon, where I learned how to brew in Vermont. I was there for about 5 years. Moved to the West Coast to Los Angeles and helped an upstart brewery called Eagle Rock get up and going. I was their head brewer there for a couple of years. Then my wife got a job in New York, so we moved back east. And I worked at Greenpoint Beer Works, or also known as Kelso/Heartland Brewery, for a couple of years in Brooklyn, in the Clinton Hill neighborhood, where I still live. And then talked to these guys and started up Flagship. So my other brewer, Noah, here, me and him have been making these recipes and these beers since we've been open. Right now we have on tap our Wee Heavy, which is our winter seasonal at Mugs. It's a Scotch ale that's not a very traditional Scotch ale because it has hops in it, so probably people like that because everyone likes hops. And it's about 8% alcohol. It's malty and it's hoppy. I brought a couple other beers. Our best-selling beer from day one has been our APA, American Pale Ale, another hoppy beer. And I also brought a not-so-hoppy beer, a German rye beer called Roggenfest. It's a Roggen beer, brewed sort of in the style of an Oktoberfest beer, but also rye as well. We also make a dark mild, which if you ever see or make it on Staten Island, I encourage you to try. It's one of my favorite beers. It's about as dark as any beer you've ever had, but it's also about 4.5% alcohol and very light body, so very sessionable. What else have we made? We make a wit. We are making our first lager right now. It's in a lagering tank. It will be available early February, and then we've been doing test batches of it. What do we call it? Oh, they call it an IPA. I'm not really familiar with it, but 15-barrel brew house, 30-barrel fermenters, 30-barrel brine tanks. So we brew about 500 gallons at a time. We do double batches into the fermenters, the conicals, about 1,000 gallons of beer. Usually translate, depending on the style, to about 50 to 60 kegs per batch. The hoppier beers usually produce less. The dark mild become great yields.
Did you guys buy your brew house?
What hops do we use in that, Noah? Yeah, Roggen.
We got a question from
Hallertau.
So Paul, what was your question?
Did you get your brew house new, or did it have a past life somewhere else?
It is only lived in Staten Island, so it's new. All of our equipment was new. It's made in Slovenia. We got it from Prospero, who are interesting people, but they're basically they make wine equipment, and then they got into the sort of like craft brewing equipment. They have a warehouse in Pleasantville, New York, and Geneva, New York, and somewhere in California. And but most of their brewing equipment is manufactured in Slovenia and shipped over here.
So is this a recipe that you made before, previously, either professionally or homebrew-wise, that you carried over? Or is this an entirely new recipe?
Every single thing that I've made at Flagship was conceived at Flagship. Yeah, I haven't done a whole hell of a lot of home brewing in the last 10 years at least. So, no, I mean, it's the one beer that we make that is kind of a tip of the cap to other beers I've made at other breweries is our dark mild. When I was at Harpoon, we made a beer called Munich Dark.
Right.
I think it's just called like Harpoon Dark now. And I love that beer. And when I was at Eagle Rock in Los Angeles, we made a dark mild called Solidarity. And I just love that style. I love dark beer, and I like sessionable beer. It's a Martin grain bill with 20% rye.
Okay.
It uses an ale yeast.
Okay.
And
Like a standard ale yeast, not like a wheat beer yeast.
It's a standard yeast, basically.
Is it your own culture, or is it just a...
It's a White Labs culture. It's not Chico though. It's something else.
Okay.
Secret? No, it's not. It's not secret. It's San Diego super yeast.
Okay.
So that's really it. The hop profile is really low, obviously. Just enough to kind of counterbalance. I didn't really want to have much hops. That's not what I was trying to showcase. You know, people can interpret it. A lot of people have a different. It actually is a little more than 20% rye.
Okay. That's what I was going to ask. Because were you stopping at 20% worried about the stuck mash, or you just?
Well, that's the rule of thumb in the brewing industry. But we have our mash tun's pretty good. So I've had no problems with stuck mashes. And you know, you can use rice hulls, whatever. Well, I mean, I had a bad run up the other day and I fixed it.
Beer, or is this an all year round beer for you guys?
This is our fall seasonal beer.
Fall season. Okay.
This is the last keg we have of it, so I figured it'd be special to bring it here. So. And actually, it was insanely popular amongst our accounts and our, well, maybe not insanely, but it was one of our more popular beers when we came out with it amongst our accounts and
it's
our...
It's delicious. If it had a German name, it could be on the Nuremberg.
I know, we should just tell them it was brewed in Germany.
Yeah, I like it. It's really good. Yeah.
I wanted a hoppy beer that wasn't bitter, so that's what inspired me to make this.
Right.
It uses Golden Promise malt and a little bit of caramel malt and a little bit of biscuit malt. So it's a hoppy beer, but it does have some malt character. It does have some color. It's darker than most IPAs. It's not very pale. I don't, you know, it's kind of a farce to call it an American Pale Ale, but, you know, it is true to the style of American Pale Ales if you kind of look it up and look into it. The hop profile is kind of what you smell and a lot of what you taste. It's got a lot of the citrusy hops from the Pacific Northwest. You know, most of the ingredients in this beer are from America, aside from the Golden Promises, is a British malt.
No!
So, but the hops are what it's all about. It's all American hops. It's
Joyce, quick. So is this a recipe that you created just for Flagship?
Yeah, every beer Flagship has a recipe. Yeah, it's got Amarillo hops, Mosaic hops, Cascade hops, Saz, Falconer's Flight, and Nugget. It's not dry hopped. Okay. You know, so it's... No, I want it to be hoppy without being hoppy. Without being bitter, without being, you know, what is it, like oily, resiny, like cotton mouth, you know, which is what people apparently want nowadays. So, you know, but it's not what I wanted. It's not what we wanted. And Flagship, so, and it's, you know, people like it. It's been our best-selling beer. It's our flagship. It's pretty true to the Scotch style. It uses a melanoided malt, which kind of brings out, brings out the maltiness of it, I would say, and gives it some color. It uses red, Cara Red, which is a Wireman malt that's not crystal, which I love because for the most part, I'm not a fan of crystal malt. And it uses Golden Promise, like I was saying, for the APA as a base malt. Yeah, probably. I've never used Cara Amber, but I would assume it's similar. Let's see, off the top of my head, uses chocolate wheat malt, a small amount, kind of like up the color. Deep bittered, you know, like a really dark malt that's deep bittered because it's wheat malt. We have Carafa 3, which is another deep bittered malt, but we use that in the dark malt. So I try to like change the malts in every beer we use because there's so many out there available on the commercial market. You know what I mean? Like you can really get like the same effect as far as color is concerned from, you know, literally like tens of different malts. So just kind of differentiate all the beers. Like the We Heavy uses chocolate wheat. Our dark mild uses midnight wheat, and Carafa 3. Like there's a lot of different dark malts, and you can get that dark color without sort of that bitter chocolate flavor that comes with a lot of the other malts. So, I mean, that's really it. Melanoidin is great, and that really helps, you know, bring out that, what I think the Scotch ale character in this beer, that and the red malt. And it ages in it. We let it, you know, this doesn't turn over in 2 weeks, it turns over in maybe 3 weeks. Let it, you know, mellow out in the tank a little bit more. We do that with the Roggenfest too, the Roggen beer.
Would you be bottling these seasonals as well as the regular stuff as well?
Yeah, I mean, I can't, you know, speak for it right now, but I'm sure.